Hey, witches!
Hello, hello.
We are back.
Bam!
Listen, I'm tired, and so much has happened in this book. Like, I don't even know.
You know, I think I haven't read any other SJM books, but specifically this series, it's like lollygags getting up to like the climax, and then it's just like a fucking cliff, and you just fall off of it.
Yeah,
and the book's done.
Like in these last 10, what is it, 13? Is that 13, what we decided?
Yeah.
These last 13 chapters, so much freaking happens. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
Starting with the queens being fucking bitches.
Honestly, though, like fuck them. So we're back in the human world. They got the little truth-telling orb. So Rhys is going to essentially show the queens Valaris and hopefully get them to trust them. So here we are.
Fucking bitches.
And they're fucking horrible. Oh. So I have some on 548, and it says honestly, oh my god, but I have no idea what I wrote it about. I really need to like.
Probably, if that is the worst insult any of you have ever received in your lives.
Yeah, definitely. So, the queens have insulted,
Nesta insulted the queen. The last time.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, the ancient queen said, after being so gravely insulted the last time, a simmering glare thrown at Nesta, my sister leveled a look of pure, unyielding flame right back at her. The old woman clicked her tongue. We debated for many days whether we should return. As you can see, 3 of us found the insult to be unforgivable. Liar, to blame it on Nesta, to try to sow discord between us for what Nesta had tried to defend. I said with surprising calm, if that is the worst insult any of you have ever received in your lives, I'd say you're all in for quite a shock when war comes. And I'm like, true.
For real, though. Like, yes.
Like, you're a queen. If anything, anyone is disrespecting you. And if you can't handle that of a small, noble woman's, like, remark for defending her, like, home territory and her people, fuck you.
Right. Like, hello. I can't even.
Oh, man. Yeah, so that's...
So then they show them... They show them Valaris in the little, the Veritas?
Yeah, Veritas.
Which is hilarious because it reminds me of Veritime, like the time clock portal thing.
You know what it reminds me of? The truth serum from Harry Potter.
Veritas serum. Yeah. It also reminds me of Securitas, like the security. I don't know. Listen.
If Snape calls it Veritas serum, then I'm going to call it Veritas.
There you
go. R.I.P.
Oh my goodness.
So on 549, so after all of this, the queens are being absolute dicks to these people, and I basically just wrote all the queens need to get the fuck out.
For real though.
Like, they're assholes because they're just like calling people idiots because of I would say that's a proof of her idiocy. To be engaged to a fae-hating man and to risk the match by associating with you. It's like, bitch, have you ever had family? Like, fuck.
Right.
It's not her fault that shit happened to Feyre. Like, Feyre's just trying to, like, protect them and, like, be with them. If it wasn't for Feyre, she wouldn't have been engaged. Fuck.
Right, like all of that. Just little.
And then I don't have anything until 551.
I don't have anything until 552.
Well, then I'm just going to keep talking. I have a lot to say about these goddamn queens.
They were pissing me off.
So, on page 551, after everything has been shown to the queens, and Rhys explains, like, what it is, what is it? Blah, blah, blah. So they were talking like, your trust is appreciated, and we waited. Both of their faces turned grave, unmoved, and I was glad I was sitting as the eldest added at last. We will consider. And then everyone's like, the fuck? We just did everything for you. Like, what you asked. Like, why are you considering all of this? And then they basically go, well, we will come at our leisure. Fuck off.
Right. Okay.
We're going to decide, and then we'll decide when we want to come. It's a fortnight's travel, and it's just bad on my skin.
Bitch, you could widow.
Honestly. Not that they said that in the book, but I feel like that would be her reaction. Like, it's a fortnight to travel, and I'm just so tired.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up.
It's like, bitch, you winnowing everywhere. Like, that's the logic I'm seeing here. All right. Anyways.
Yeah. So then they're
Is this about the letter?
Oh yeah. So the letter. I didn't write anything about the letter, but the letter.
No, I didn't either.
So Reese wrote them a letter to like help everything, and it was
try to convince them.
Yeah, to try to convince them, like, because he is all about how he loves Feyre and wants to save her people and his people, blah blah blah,
and like live in harmony.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, excuse me. And then the old lady queen, fucking bitch, was like, "Who is to say that this is not all some grand manipulation?" What?
Anything could be a grand manipulation, ma'am. Couldn't you? Wait till you find out.
Foreshadowing. Yeah. So then, like, they're just stupid bitches, and then Nesta.
Oh, what a queen.
Nesta. Oh, this is the talk of mad women, of arrogant, stupid fools. And like she's like going all this, she's angry, she's emotional. She says, there are innocent people here in these lands. If you will not risk your necks against the forces that threaten us, then grant these people a fighting chance. Give my sister the book. She called her sister. This whole time she's been like,
why is
fuck you, Feyre.
You know,
now
just
she
like, you want to be my sister? Fuck you. I don't want to be your sister. And then it's like, when Feyre's actually like trying to protect everybody, and Nesta's like, yeah, she's trying to be a fucking badass, and you old crones are fucking it up.
Yes.
Oh, and then she just continues going. She like made calculations with how much an evacuation would be needed. Because the queen's like, well, you can evacuate. And she's like, you need an armada, 10,000 ships. I've calculated the numbers, and if you're relying or readying for war, you will not send your ships to us, so we are stranded here. And then the queen was like, well, then I suggest you use your winged men to carry you away.
And then Cassian. So keep in mind, everyone, that I am reading this for the first time, so I don't know what happens in A Court of Silver Flames or whatever it's called, but I am so excited, and I freaking ship Cassian and Nesta so hard.
That's what I put on here, Cassian and Nesta. That's foreshadowing too.
I literally wrote Cassian and Nesta with a heart and then said, please. And then, like, because he walks over to her and he says, 500 years ago, I fought on battlefields not far from this house. I fought beside human and fairy alike, bled beside them. I will stand on that battlefield again, Nesta Archeron, to protect this house and your people.
I just love how, I actually wrote this on page 555. I put, other than being perfect for each other, I wonder why Cassian is trying to be so close to Nesta, like, at all times. Because, like, usually they're at each other's throat and neck, and I know Cassian, like, really, really enjoys that. But, like, this is, like, an important part, and he's just like, fuck, like, I'm going to protect you. And I wonder if it has everything to do with, like, the relationship he has with Feyre, and, like, how this is. But, like, at this point, there's, like, no bond, there's, like, no nothing. Like, she's human, he's Fae, all of that stuff. So it's like,
right, but is there a bond? Because like when Feyre was human, okay, thank you. When Feyre was human, she had that connection with Reese, even though.
That's why I'm saying like this is perfect, because like, you don't know anything, like you don't know what's going to happen. Like she's.
Do you know? You haven't read the last book yet, have you?
I haven't read Silver Flames, but I've read the next two books, so Wings of Ruin and Frost and Starlight.
Oh, right, okay.
Wings of Ruin were the nitty-gritty of Feyre and Reese's story begins.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't say begins, sorry, ends.
Okay.
Frost and Starlight is like the nice little transition period book to, I guess, a new era of shipping. But there's another book coming, and God, I want an Elaine story.
Okay, I wanted a Elaine story till I finished this fucking book. And now I'm like...
Now you're pissy. Okay, alright. I just want to know what happens to her.
Anyway.
We might find out. I don't know.
Page 554. Sneaky bitches!
Yeah.
Oh, just one sneaky bitch. Ooh.
Yeah. One of the queens had her handkerchief, and as she was watching the orb, she dropped it, and then she like fumbled under her skirt a little bit and sat back up. During this whole time, the old bitch was like nonstop saying, "We're not helping you. We will come back at our leisure." All of this XYZ. He then doesn't fight them. Everybody around them is fighting them, but he's not saying anything. And everyone's like, why isn't he saying something? Like, this is important to him. Like, is he defeated? Blah, blah, blah. After he leaves, he's like staring underneath the golden one, the one dropped the handkerchief, and see that there's a book there. So she fucking dropped it. Yeah. So you know what? Fuck the other queens, but the golden one and the one that's not involved. The ill one. That was ill from the get-go.
Yeah, I feel like she's dead.
She's not, but...
Well, the golden queen is.
But the golden queen is definitely fucking deceased.
Okay, now I'm going to switch journals because that's the last of my notes in that one, and now I'm going to switch to this.
Yeah, so also, Nest actually feels emotion, and it's really, really fucking sad. And so she is like, Cassian looks to Nesta and is like, it is your choice, ladies, whether you wish to remain here or come with us. You have heard the situation at hand. You have done the math about the evacuation. A nod of approval as he met Nesta's gray blue of stare. Should you choose to remain, a unit of my soldiers will be here within the hour to guard this place. Should you wish to come live with us in the city we just showed them, I'd suggest packing now. And Nesta looks at Elaine to make sure that she's okay, and says, it is your choice. And it's like, you'd go to Prithian for Elaine for her safety. Like, stop. That's so cute.
Freaking would. Oh my gosh.
And then Nesta looks at Reese and Cassian, and then to Feyre, and despair still paled her face, but she bowed her head and said to me, that was why you painted stars on the dresser. That's she didn't know at the time, but you right.
Oh my god.
Nesta, stop.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was the end for me for 57.
That's all I had too. And then at the beginning of chapter 58, like on the very first page, or the second page, 557, I was just talking, like, she keeps talking about, like, there's no word from the queens and there's no word from her sisters. Like, her sisters hadn't changed their mind. Mm-hmm. And now that I've finished reading the book, my heart hurts a little about what I wrote, because I wrote, will her sisters change their minds? I feel like they do. I need Cassian and Nesta to happen. And now that I've finished reading the book and I know what happens, I'm like, oh, no.
Damn it, Elaine. So I wrote something on that same page too, but mine's funny. Mine's not like heartbroken. So during part of it, Reese started making comments to, what was it? Basically, Reese and Moore are gone, so the Illyrians are there to, I wouldn't say protect Feyre, but maybe a little bit protect her, but also, like, keep her company since she's gone, or everybody else is gone. And so they're doing their handwritten notes between each other, and she's like, how do I tell Cassie and Azrael I don't need them to protect me? Company is fine, but I don't need sentries. He goes, you don't tell them. You set boundaries if they cross the line, but they are their friend, but you are their friend and my mate. They will protect you on instinct. If you kick their asses out of the house, they'll just sit on the roof. And I wrote, I can imagine, like, the Flintstone style of kicking out, like, like, whether it's Fred throwing out the cat or the dog or whatever, or the cat throwing Fred out. That's what I can imagine these two. I can just imagine, like, her, like, kicking her foot and they just go flying out and then they just stare and look at each other and then climb up to the roof and just sit there.
For real, though.
Like, that's all I can see of Az and Cass doing all of that.
Oh my gosh. I love on page 559. I actually did not write anything about this, but as I'm looking through it, I'm like, oh, I like that Feyre is like I feel like Feyre is also shipping Nesta and Cassian. Like she's over here like, she'll never forget, Cassian, that you offered to defend Elaine, defend her people. As long as she lives, she'll remember that kindness. And he's like, why are you telling me this? And she's like, I just thought you should know.
Honestly, though, I feel like sometimes Cassian needs, like, that, I wouldn't say, like, the, like, confidence boost, but the reassurance that he is doing everything that he can and what he does and says he's worth it because of his background. Like, I feel like that's the same for, like, the trio, but yeah, especially for him because he was, you know, his background. And I wrote something about that too. I was like, so I go through therapy and I've done a lot of soul searching in the last few months. So it, what is it? So she goes, it meant a lot to her. Nesta is different than most people. She comes across as rigid and vicious, but I think it's a wall, a shield like the ones Reese has in his mind. Cassian's like, against what? Feeling. I think Nesta feels everything, sees too much, sees and feels it all, and she burns with it. Keeping that wall up helps from being overwhelmed from caring too greatly. And I was like, damn, that moment you think I'm Nesta. Feeling wise. Because I do that. I have built a wall in my life around feelings, and that's probably why I struggle with, like, acting, like, serious or sad scenes, because I literally just laugh in serious situations, because that's a great way to cope. I don't cry, and if I do start crying, then I literally think of something else to stop the crying. So, like, when it comes to crying in, like, scenes, it's very difficult because I'm sitting there like, well, I've literally used this coping mechanism for years, and yeah, I get more anxiety freaking out that I can't cry anymore and that I'm an unfeeling machine than anything. So it's just funny that I read that. I was like, man, I'm like Nesta when it comes to feeling. There's a wall.
Oh my gosh.
But I do care about everybody. She barely seems to care about anyone other than Elaine. I show that I care. I just I don't do much.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, I'm gonna flip this over.
560. Shit starts to get real. A bunch of like Ator looking motherfuckers.
Yeah, they're attacking the city.
Attack Valaris. And Cassian and Feyre stand here for like 10 minutes, pissing me off. Like, you go sound the alarm. No, you go sound the alarm. No, you just.
I'll sound the alarm. You go back to the house. I'm not going back to the house. You go do something. It's like, damn, each time that you're arguing about this, they get closer and closer to the wards. Like,
right, like, why don't you both go? Like, or something. Somebody do something.
Who fucking cares? Feyre, tell Reese about something, and then y'all go do it, and then have Reese come back. But damn.
Oh my gosh, yes. And yeah, and then on 561, they have that stupid blue stone that, like, repels the magic or whatever.
Oh, the siphons?
No.
Oh, the Ator do.
Yeah, the other people, like, the bad guys. The bad guys. It's metal, I think, maybe.
When I hear blue stone, I just think the siphons.
Yeah, no, not those.
I wrote something on 562.
I wrote those two-faced bitches.
So at this point, they have reached the inner city, whatever. And they're essentially like right next to Feyre and Cassian. And at this point, they drop a body down on the ground and it gets pierced by something. And as you look closely at the body, it is the body of the Golden Queen, the one that gave them the Book of Breathings.
And her eyes had been plucked out.
Yep. And she was barely on the verge of life. And she died right there in front of Feyre. And Feyre was pissed. So I wrote, fuck.
Yeah.
Shit is getting serious. Yeah, she's like pissed off. She's like, this, like, she wrote the group a note basically saying, like, don't trust the queens. The ill one is not ill, or the one that's missing is not ill. she's this or she's that, and basically just tells them, like, I believe in it too. Like, your letter really changed my mind on this, and they fucking found out. I don't know how they found out. Did they ever explain how they found out, or
How they found out about Volaris?
no, about her giving them the book? Other than,
I don't know. I'm guessing they just noticed it was missing, and then maybe
they just knew. Maybe she
Yeah.
like, spoke up too much about it. But yeah. So and they're still fighting about this at this point. Cassian and her are both still fighting about it.
yeah, and they finally. Cassian's like, go home now, and then he like takes off. He flies, and then Feyre starts to run towards the queen to see if she can save her, and no, she can't. And then here we go. Where did I just saw it? I ran for my side of the stitcher for my house, for the townhouse. I didn't trust myself to winnow. Could barely think around the panic barking through my head. Listen. No. Like,
You just imagine a tiny little like Yorkie.
yes. The freaking barking. Anyway. And then she sees them going for the art district, right?
Yeah, the rainbow.
And she's like, oh, hell no.
Not those artists. Not my people.
Yeah, she goes taking off over there, and then there's this one lady. There was a young female, green-skinned, and is it Lith or Lithe?
I pronounce it Lith.
That's what I always do. Lithe, an ancient rusted bit of pipe raised above her shoulders, standing her ground. Standing her ground in front of her storefront, a gallery. People crouched in the shop were sobbing. I just imagine this bitch being like Nesta's counterpart. Like, she's out there like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this rusty bit of metal pipe, but I'm finna do it. Like, I'm not going down with that fight.
Right?
And that makes Feyre even more like, fuck this. And she calls up the Sidra and pulls water wolves out of it, which is fucking awesome.
Yo, can we talk about Amryn though? Like, Amryn's a fucking beast.
Oh my god, I wrote something about Amryn somewhere.
So right before like she's running off to go help the people in all of that, basically she hears like thunder booming, roofs were wrenched apart, doors shattering, all of that. It was an extermination. And then fire was rippling, black smoke staring in the sky. Where was Reese? Where was my mate? Across the river, thunder boomed again, and it was not Cassian or Azrael who held the other side of the river, but Amryn. Her slim hands had only to point, and soldiers would fall as if their own wings failed them. They slammed into the streets, thrashing, choking, clawing, shrieking, just as the people of Volaris had shrieked. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I just whip my hand up, and like, your biggest fears come at you.
Amryn's a fucking badass.
Like, good for you, Farrah, for like conjuring up water wolves, but also like, Amryn deserves her spotlight.
Yeah. I loved it. Like, and then Reese is coming, right? Like,
Yeah.
So Reese is like, where are you?
Oh yeah, he's freaking the fuck
Oh,
out.
wait. Oh, yeah. And Feyre's fighting the Ator right now.
Yeah, she's pissed off and she finds him.
So he's about to get away. He's like flying up into the air. And Reese is like, where are you? Where are you? And Feyre throws up her shields. And she said, I'm exactly where I need to be. And then she winnows into the sky. She's like, I'm going to go get this motherfucker.
Using it. And it's like, yeah, Feyre, you get him.
Yeah.
You go get him.
But also, like, and then on chapter 59, the very first page, I was like, God damn it, Feyre. Like, Reese is trusting you and, like, trying to be understanding. And, like, thankfully, he doesn't get mad. He understands and he, like, lets her be her. But also, like, don't shut him out.
Yeah, because that's, like, what if you really need the help and you're, like, losing your power?
Right.
What if you can't?
I could vaguely feel him pounding against that shield, roaring at it, but even he could not get...
Rawr, Feyre, lay in.
Oh my god. I can't with the roaring and the barking. Because on the next page, my steel knife barked into stone because she goes to.
I feel like there's a better word for that specific section. Instead of barked, I would have been like clamored.
The reverberation of steel on bone barked into my hand. That's a whole nother sentence. Like, on the same fucking page.
Careful, dogs bark. Or dogs bite.
I can't even.
So basically all I put for all of chapter 59, because we essentially just watch, or like, we're just basically told how the actor is brutally murdered.
Yes. Yep.
It's so fucked up too. It's like, finally he gets what he deserves. I absolutely love though how he's like, I can't fly, or she's like, I can't fly, but here we go. We're like super high up in the air and we're free falling, and I'm just beating the fuck out of you, and like just wait to the end, and then literally as soon as they're about to hit the stone, she winnows out and he just
flat.
like, fuck yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Literally, it says, I heard the crack and splatter even as I sifted through the world. Like,
and she's like, I'll see you in hell, and it's like,
fuck yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think it's funny how people like specifically those like godly people who are always like, you're going to hell, and a fucking handbasket, see you there. I'll see you there. At least I'm gonna have a nice handbasket.
That's always the best response. You're like, I can't wait to see you there. Like, because then they're like, hey,
besties. Yeah, somebody told me I was going to hell because I dyed my hair blue, and I was like, oh. Can you just imagine a world where people get so upset with you for dyeing your hair a different color? Like, that's hilarious.
Like, I literally think I would just laugh in their face.
I did. I was like, oh, it's okay. Because it's like, of all the things to knit.
And like, was this a random stranger?
Who was at the store?
Oh my
God.
god.
Fucking Walmart. Like, seriously?
Go away.
Like, I'm Sarah, and I'm like, what? And then literally like 20 minutes later, the cashier lady at the self-checkout comes up to me and was like, where's the rest of your onions? And I was like, my green onions? And they're like, yeah, where is that? I was like, I got one bundle. Why do I need like 5 bundles of green onions? Why'd you put it in the same bag as the cucumbers? Because I want to save on plastic. Why would I have 2 produce bags for 2 separate things that are going to be cooked together? I literally just put it in one bag. And she just looked at me, she goes, let me see. And so I was like, okay, you're literally pissed off over 88-cent like bundle of green onions. So I was like, you good? And she's like, okay, just making sure. And she walks away, and I was like, I ain't stealing. It's 88 cents.
Oh my god.
She's just like, I don't know where. And I was like, all right, lady who works at Walmart as a self-checkout attendant, you do you. If I came in through like a TV, I'd be concerned too. But it's fucking 88-cent green onions.
Oh my god. Oh, she was probably pissed about your hair too.
She was definitely older.
Oh my god.
She reminds me of somebody who got fired at Westside. Hair that got fired.
No.
Yeah. Reminds me of her. So I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Well,
anyways, that's all I had to say about that chapter.
Me too.
Good times.
All right.
So I had a planned break, but then as I'm reading it, I realized that this is probably more devoted towards Wings and Ruin.
Mm.
So, but did we talk about the thing about Farah and her sisters having Fae blood in them? Was that a break long time ago in Akatar?
I think we did talk about that, yes.
Okay, well then, well, it's definitely not available right
now. I will just talk about 2 books that I read this month. So, because it is Pride Month, I have been reading books, fiction books, but one of them was called One Last Stop by... I can't see it on the shelf up there. It's covered up. It is a kind of fantasy, not fantasy, but like science fiction almost. book, but it's set in the modern times, and it's about this girl who's stuck on the subway, and she's actually from the past, but she's gay. Anyway, it's called One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, Casey. But it's about lesbians, and there's like drag queens in there and gays, and like it's good. And then I just finished reading Her Majesty's Royal Coven, which was the Barnes and Noble pick of the month this month. And at first I was like, why? But then it turns out that one of the main characters is transgender. So it's actually really good. But it's about witches too, which is, right up our alley. So it took me a minute to get into it because it was like, it's one of those books that...
Did not like capture your stuff right away?
No, it's just one of those books that like jumps from character to character.
Oh,
and it was
really hard.
Really confusing at first because like there was no background laid. So like jumping from character to character, I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Did it not tell you like what character? Like, okay, so at the end of this book, there's like chapter 68, Reese. Chapter 69.
No, it did. It did. But like there were so many characters, I think.
Oh, okay.
That I was like, what?
What the fuck?
What do I got here? What? But once I got into it and like knew their names and all of that, it was really good. So highly recommend both of those if you're looking for a Pride Month read.
Just remember, that second one has a lot of characters.
A lot of characters. Lots of, and it could be that one could, I could say trigger warning for that one probably. If you've ever not been accepted for who you are, because there's a lot of non-acceptance from some of the characters. It's a very real account, but they put
very
witches.
Real society.
Right. It's a very real account of society, but then they put witches in there to make it fun. So,
fun. I actually I actually found a small little fan theory that we definitely didn't talk about. This is new. So somebody from Tumblr reread ACOTAR, just for fun. And it's like, I'm definitely not about the second book, it's about the first book, but it kind of ties in. So in ACOTAR, basically the scene where Feyre is beginning to get comfortable around Tamlin and Lucian, like right after the bogey incident, Feyre has a nightmare about the Fey Wolf, or Andress, that she killed in the woods. But here, let me pull this part straight out of the chapter. So basically there's like a section where it's like, behind me a shadow lurked, no watched. I didn't dare turn it to look at it to see who might be within that shadow observing, not as the wolf stared at me from across the clearing. So we definitely know that it's not Andress because at this point she's already like bow cocked and ready to kill him. And then it finishes just staring as if waiting, as if daring me to fire the ash arrow. And then it's like, okay, well, we know Reese is all about shadow, all about something. And so then she goes on to continue. She goes, here are my thoughts. There are two options in my mind. The shadow behind Feyre that seems to describe as a physical person watching could definitely be multiple things. It could be a metaphor of Andress himself watching. It could also be a hint at what happens later in the book when she finds out that the wolves were intentionally out there looking for a human for Tamlin to find. So it could have been Tamlin. But let's look at this part several chapters later when Feyre has just gotten out of the scene with the Suriel and the Naga. I jerked awake in the middle of the night, panting. My dreams had been filled with the clicking of the Suriel's bone fingers, the grinning Naga, and a pale, faceless woman dragging her blood-red nails across my throat, splitting me open bit by bit. She kept asking for my name, but every time I tried to speak, my blood bubbled out of the shallow wounds on my neck, choking me. So we also know at this point that not that he necessarily like saw the dreams, but he kind of knew about these dreams. Because he kind of felt them because like she projected it to him and vice versa because of that bond that had developed later on. So in the first scene of Feyre's dream, she describes a shadow behind her watching that as she read it again to her fiance, it had her thinking it might be Tamlin or a metaphor. Well, what about the next dream? She describes a faceless woman asking for her name. What if it was Brizan? What if all this time, as soon as Feyre entered into Prythian, somehow he knew all along? And then someone goes, did you find it strange that Reese, who can enter people's minds and force them to do things, see things, randomly showed up at the night of Calanmai, why, and all that? And it's like, people saw what was happening in the second book way in the very, very first part of the book. And I think it was just funny. So prior to him knowing about her going to Prythian, this person believes that Rezan had been monitoring Tamlin regardless of Feyre, or regardless of his orders from Amarantha. So that's when basically this person believes that Rhys knew all along who this person was when she killed him, all of that, without actually being told. That's essentially what this person on Tumblr believes.
Okay.
Based on like the little snippets from Akatar.
Okay.
Because she's like at the end, she's like, yeah, from Akmath, like we can confirm like he was there all along, but how but she thinks that he actually knew her all along, regardless of what was said in the book.
Right.
Even though, but yeah, that was, I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. Anyway.
Oh, chapter 60. The first thing I said, hold on, let me find the page, was on 573.
Was about Amryn.
Yeah.
Same. I wrote something about that too.
Amryn is a fucking badass.
Honestly, though.
I wrote she is terrifying and awesome.
I put Amryn is terrifying. I would kiss her ass to avoid any outcome. Oh, she's talking about what she did to the soldiers who attacked Velaris. That's why. Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would too. I have a very, very big fear of drowning. I don't know. I love swimming. I love going underwater, doing all of that, but I just...
Well, and like... breathe. So Rhys is telling Feyre about what Amryn was doing, or is that... Who was... Yeah, Rhys. Like, with her dark power, she had spun illusions straight into the soldiers' minds. They believed they'd fallen into the Sidra and were drowning. They believed they were flying 1,000 feet above and had dived fast and swift for the city, only to find the street mere feet away, and the crunch of their skulls. The crueler ones, the wickedest ones, she had unleashed their own nightmares upon them, until they died from terror, their hearts giving out. What the fuck? Amryn is so fucking... And she's just this tiny little, girl-looking thing. She looks like just a little, skinny little girl.
Right? And then
she's just standing there, calmly
making... millennia, just...
right,
unleashing her powers randomly. And I think it's so funny, because it's like, how did she... Other than being at the prison, how did she end up with Rhys?
Right.
I know she got out of the prison, but, did she get out of the prison with Rhys? Not with Rhys, but, while he was High Lord, or was it before, or was it even before he was even thought of and born?
Right. I don't know.
She's been around for 10,000 years or something like that. She's a fucking genie.
Genie in a bottle, baby.
I had something on the next page on 574.
I do too, but I'm not really sure what I was talking about, so I'm still trying to figure it out.
So it's at the very top of the page. They're talking about retaliation against Hybern. And Amryn, we think Amryn and Moore and Cassian and Rhys to be the people to be bloodthirsty, voice their opinion. We know Az can do that, but he doesn't voice it. So literally Amryn's we sleep, we eat. And then it was Azriel who added his voice raw with the aftermath of battle rage, and then we retaliate. And it's dude, Az never talks, so his input in this situation speaks so much.
Yes.
It's just the volume it's shouting at is just insane.
I wrote on page 574, this Feyre is a male who deserves you. And I was trying to figure out what I was talking about, but it's down here because he's like, you shut me out, you shielded against me. And she's like, I'm sorry. And he's like, sorry. Be impressed. That shield, what you did to the Adwer, you could have been killed. And she's like, are you going to scold me for it? Because, that's what Toxic Tammy would have done. Yep. And he's like, how could I scold you for defending my people? I want to throttle you, yes, for not going back to the townhouse. But you chose to fight for them, for Velaris. I don't deserve you.
Yes.
And, she just, yes.
And, and then she goes, we deserve each other. We deserve to be happy.
Yes.
And then they made love under the stars.
It's gross.
Which makes me wonder, every single time, they make love, even when she was with Tammy, they literally didn't describe it. They were just then we made love. And it's so the raunchy shit is the only stuff that you want to talk about? Apparently. So it's damn, is she I want you up, or I want you to take me up against the wall. And he goes, I'll fuck you wherever you want. And then it's like, he made love under the stars. Like, those are some contrasting statements.
You know, it is what it is.
Anyways,
on the next page, 575.
I have 556. Go ahead.
They're talking about what Feyre has to do to nullify the cauldron's power. She just has to touch the cauldron and speak these words. That's anticlimactic. Like, that's it. And then she's like, what happens when we put the books together? Or more asks, what happens when we put the books together, the halves of the book together? And Amber's like, don't do that. Like, that will send out so much power that, you'll call everyone to you. Yeah, and then the next thing that I have is until 576.
So on 576 that I wrote, at this point we're talking about like who is going to go where and when everything's going to happen. And so literally, more is like concerned. More is like the King of Hybern could notice Rhys's presence the moment he arrives, and if Feyre needs time to nullify the cauldron, we don't know how much time that is, and that's a risky variable. And so then Castian's like, well, we've done this or we've done that. Like, they'd have to do this or you'd have to do that kind of stuff. And then as pushed, it's a solid plan. The king doesn't know our sense. We wreck the cauldron and vanish before he notices. It'll be a graver insult than the bloodier direct route we've been considering, Rhys. We beat them yesterday, so when we go into that castle, vengeance indeed danced into the normal placid face. We'll leave a few reminders that we won the last damn war for a reason. And Rhys goes, are you asking me to stay outside while my mate goes into his stronghold? And Asriel was just, yes.
I wrote about too. I was like, yes, Rhys, wait outside. She can handle it.
It has quite the balls to dare Rhys into not fighting. And it's like, I feel this is my biggest concern now that like they know each other, that they're mated, because a lot of this, like, he responds with, that's my mate. Like, how dare you make me, like, wait outside because that's my mate. It kind of reminds me of Tammy. It reminds me of, like, that's my mate, we need to protect her kind of stuff. And it's like, bitch, what about all the other times that she's done shit before you got, like, the shit?
But I think the difference is that, like, Toxic Tammy wouldn't have been allowing her to go in to begin with. He would have been leaving her at home.
True, okay. That makes sense.
And
it's like, just the way it's worded and the way it's...
Yeah, I don't love it either, the whole my mate thing.
Yeah, every single time when they say my mate, I'm like... I mean, I guess that's the same way. Like, they don't have wives or husbands or anything, right. So I guess that would be the same way as them saying that's my wife.
Yeah. I think that is like the Fae. I don't know. I don't like it either. It grosses me out, but it is what it is. You know? Oh, okay. Page 577. Feyre finally realizes that she was abused by Tamlin.
I know.
And she says, I realized how badly I'd been treated before. If my standards had become so low. If the freedom I'd been granted felt like a privilege and not an inherent right.
It's really nice when you're like, you realize the amount of, I don't want to say abuse, because abuse is different in all kinds of like capacities, but relationship abuse in any form, emotionally wise, I feel like if you've been hit, you're just like, okay, that's fucked up. Why'd you hit me? No matter what. Mm-hmm. But it's the emotional abuse that makes you think either you deserved it or this is fucked up. Mm-hmm. So I think when you're kind of delving through your emotional abuse, you're like, the realization when you actually hit and realize the shit that you've done or the shit that you've said is because of what they made you think, like gaslighting and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, man, it's just like a big weight that's lifted off your chest. It kind of sucks when you start into a new relationship, though, and then like you do certain things, and they're just like, "Why aren't you doing that? Like, why are you doing that?" I don't know, because this is what I always had to do, and they're just like, "Stop! It's not a problem anymore." It's, are you sure?
It takes time.
Yes. My therapist goes, "How Oh, because I made a comment about, like, paying bills, and I was like, yeah, gas prices are kind of insane right now. And she goes, yeah, but isn't it nice to have, like, somebody also help paying the bills? And I just kind of stopped, and I was like, you're right. I do have someone paying the bills. It's been over a year, and I have someone paying the bills. And she's like, it's insane what trauma can do to your brain when you like realize the stuff that you deserve is whatever, and it's I'm just sitting there like, oh my god, like someone pays my bills too, and it's like, and then I started freaking out, and she goes, it's okay though, like, cause like that financial burden isn't all on you. Even with prices going up, you still have more like money coming in somewhere, and I'm like, oh, you're right. Yeah, it's, oh god, the psychology behind it is insane. Anyway, sorry.
I don't have anything till page 579.
You guys I'm on page 578. So Reese, they're talking about like what had happened, and basically Reese is just like, okay, well we're gonna, it doesn't matter what room we have, we can either share my room or your room or whatever, but either way we're gonna sleep in the same bed. And she's like, don't you want your own space? He goes, no, unless you do. I need you protecting me from our enemies with your water wolves.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, out of everything, that's the one thing that you comment on, and it's like, yeah, you know how to take like a great situation and make it better. Because then she's like, I snorted.
And then, so I actually didn't write anything about this, but looking at it again, I'm just like, did we know that his mother's ring was like the wedding ring, and that was a test?
He said it was the family heirloom, or it was his mom's ring or something like that.
Okay.
But we didn't know that was the reason behind it. She goes, you misplaced your items. Why'd you misplace your items? And he goes, I have my reasons.
I think that I just already like figured that out, and just like in my head I knew that, but like, so we hear the story about how his mother had the ring to remind, or she gave him the ring to remind him that she was always with him, and then when he got older she took it away because it was supposed to go to the female, but he didn't have a sister yet. So his mother gave it to the weaver and told him that if he was going to marry or mate, then the female would either have to be smart or strong enough to get it back. And if the female wasn't either of those things, then she wouldn't survive the marriage.
That's smart.
And so before Feyre even knew or acted interested in him or anything, he gives her this test. Which, like, it also was, like, to see if she could sense the item, but, like,
also.
yeah.
That's funny.
And then on the next page, on 579, oh my god, he snarls, where's that?
He snarled softly.
Yeah, he snarled softly because if she shows up alone wearing a night court wedding ring, blah, blah, blah. And then in the last thing, she's purring. So now we're not barking, we're snarling and purring, and I can fucking not. I'm gonna need someone to help SJM with her,
descriptions.
Yes.
I feel like purring is one thing because, like, not in the literal sense of purring, but
right.
Like, the way you say it, sultry like.
Yeah, that one wasn't as bad, but
the barking and the roaring, and it really throws me off because, like, in this story, none of the women roar. It's always the
like
men.
It's half the time those words are used during like the sexy times, and I'm like, neither of those words are sexy,
right? And it's the one thing if it's like he roared in pain, like I can the guttural sound of screaming. I get that,
yeah. Or when they're like he barked out a laugh, that I'm like, okay,
yeah,
but he barked out my name. No, he didn't. That's not right. No, it's not sexy. Stop it.
So basically they're talking about like their bond and like how like they're each other's equals. And you know, it got to thinking, experience in dating can be fun. It can be traumatic, but it's horrible. Like dating is fucking horrible. Especially in the day and age, like now day and age with like electronics and all that, because you're just like, okay, I guess I will I don't know, do something. Like it's like on Tinder or something. Like, oh god, like this person texts this way, but it doesn't sound like they like me, but really they like me, but they're like not telling. It's like this.
Oh my god, tangent alert.
It's just annoying, and so I'm literally just thinking, like, you know, dating can be fun. but really, it's kind of discouraging after a long, long time of like getting duds, and then you're just like, God, I don't want to fucking date. Like that sucks. And then like people, and this is coming from like domestic violence victims, but like some of those people are like, well, if I leave, then I'm gonna have to start all over again. It's like that shouldn't deter you.
That should be a good thing,
right? And then they're just like, no, I like that's terrifying. I don't want to do that. And it's like dating is terrifying. Staying with your abuser is even more terrifying. But I understand like your concept or whatever. So it's just like dating shouldn't be scary like that, but it is. So I'm basically just like, I wouldn't mind having mating bonds to make things easier.
Yeah. I can see
like
that.
Life sucks. Like the last thing I want to deal with is like woes of dating.
Along with that, like I have a tangent story as well. Funny story. When Brittany and I first started dating, the way that she texted, like she used dots for everything.
Oh God!
Like she would put ... between everything. So when I texted, that meant something was wrong. Like if I was putting ... that meant that I was like unhappy or upset or unsure.
Right.
But that's not how she did it. She was just inserting a pause by putting ... And so all the time I would be like, what's wrong? Like, is something going on? Like, it took us forever to like figure that communication hurdle out. She doesn't text like that anymore, but she used to. And I was just like, what's wrong? What did I do?
I think sometimes when Will talks, I'll just sit there and be like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, why? And I'm just like, just checking. And he goes, what? And I'm like, just the way you texted just sounded like you're pissed off or something like that. Like, I don't know what I did, but I'm sorry. He goes, you didn't do anything. Like, why are you apologizing? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just freaking out. And then, I mean, he doesn't do that to me, but like, if I don't talk much or if I'm doing like one word sentences, then he'll question that. But like, I get that.
Yeah.
I don't normally do one word sentences. I usually do a paragraph and then I like the afterthought, then I send another paragraph and then another afterthought and then another paragraph goes through. So like, if I'm sending one word questions, like I'm either pissed off or I'm busy. So luckily he figured that. Like, are you kidding? Yeah, why? I'm just working. I'm just busy. He goes, okay, I'm just double checking. Let me know if you're feeling not good. I'm like, okay.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, I think mating bonds would be nice.
Yeah, I could see that.
That way you can find like your equal without having to like go through trauma or the anxiety of doing all of that. You can bring out the best in people with this mating bond, damn it. Anyways.
Yes.
Chapter 61. I only have 2 things on this.
I just have a couple. Like, they're preparing to go to Hybern to nullify the cauldron. They're either gonna destroy it or bring it with them. But I love that they're like such a family. Like on page 581, Cassian is like, I'll protect her with my life, High Lord. I'll protect her with my life. And then Rhys looks at Azrael and he nods, bows, and says, with both our lives. And like, he doesn't need to say all of that to them. Like, they are their family and she is part of their family now. They would protect her regardless.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Moore's like, I know my orders. Like, yeah, so they're going here. And my whole thing, when they start saying, like, whether they're going to destroy the cauldron or not, my thing is, supposedly, based on lore, the cauldron made everything.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they made humans is something else, but made stuff, at least Prithian, is what they believe. So destroying it, that's like destroying, like, the creator of life itself. So, like, I feel like, and it's a magical thing, so I feel like it's all linked to something. It's like the Horcruxes. You destroy a Horcrux, and you destroy, like, the person's
soul, yeah.
So it's like, wouldn't destroying the cauldron destroy life itself?
So I was thinking that too. I was like, it's strange that the cauldron is like their creator, but also it's like evil.
Yeah, I didn't write that down, but because I mean, I've read the rest of the stories, so like, I answer my own question here, there, and there.
Right.
But yes, so I basically just put, so they're going to Hybern, and she's like describing what she sees. So it's like barren wastelands, kind of like a off-white, brownish not sandstone, but like castle of some sort.
Yeah, she describes it all as like
bony.
Yeah,
and
like bone.
That's what, but not. She didn't use that word. She didn't use bony. It was like this, like That's in the next chapter.
Oh, is it?
The bone description is in the next chapter. Yeah.
Oh, not bad.
Or and then one after that, whatever. But
She
basically,
does right here. Off-white, bone-colored.
oh, bone colored. Okay. I just think Hybern. I thought she used that to describe his throne.
Oh, that too.
But yeah, that was confirmed.
Yeah.
I think bones. But I just imagine Hybern as like a bony wasteland, like literally like just corpses scattered about, or like broken.
Like the elephant graveyard.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like when like you're down in like the Midgard worm lair, despite like the mud, it's just bones everywhere, and like no grass, no nothing, just desert. And it's like I don't think I'm far off, but like the way it's being described, I don't.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily say that. Also, this entire chapter, I was on edge because I when I first read it, because I was like, "This sounds like a trap. Like, this does not sound good."
I wrote too easy. It's too easy.
It really is.
They like just walk in.
They literally walk in, destroy the guards wherever they are because they went at the change of the guard time, and it's like, okay, well, the King of Hybern knows shit is happening and going to happen. Why are they going to do that? Especially because he knows these people are all about revenge, and retaliation. He's not stupid.
And the queens probably told him their fucking plan. Like, the queens knew that they were getting the book to come nullify the cauldron. Like, there's no way that there wouldn't be wards and, like, more than just guards. Yeah. I was, the whole time I was reading it, I was like, it's too easy. Something's about to happen.
Yeah. Well, because it's like they literally walk in and they go down, and then she's just like, okay, I feel it. It's down here. And then they literally go all the way down to, like, this basement style thing, and they see it. Sitting there on top of the dais? I don't know. The throne, essentially. The platform. The throne platform.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just so weird. It's like, that's such a trap.
Yeah, like the whole thing. It was
like, the king is ruthless. He's smart.
Yeah, it was way too easy for them to get in there.
And Amryn of all people, straight up warned them, like, the king is old. He knows shit.
Right.
Like, fucking be careful.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, Amryn, the baddest bitch of them all, is fucking not terrified, but she's definitely like, she's cautious.
Yes.
And then they're all like, falling straight into a trap. I'm just, no, I don't like it.
Yes. So for the next chapter, chapter 62, I only have 2 things.
I have 3.
So. Okay. On page 585, which is the very first page, they describe the cauldron as the size of a bathtub.
The maker of all.
So this whole time, I've been imagining the cauldron as like, you know those like smaller, round laundry baskets?
Oh, like that size?
Like that size.
Really? Like, when I first saw the cauldron and the maker of them all, I was thinking like the size of, like a room or something.
Really?
There's a part in Elden Ring in a game where you have to go to I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it looks like a gigantic pot. And inside it has like fire. It's like the fire of the giants, and you have to like use it to burn down a gigantic tree that's like unravels the whole history of Elden Ring. And it's ginormous. Like, your character is like 6 foot tall, and this thing is like the size of Empire State Building. It's huge.
Oh, okay.
So I was thinking something along those lines.
Right. I was thinking just like a cauldron, like that you could carry around, you know?
Yeah. I was thinking something along those lines because of, just sizing of the maker of the world.
No, like it was perhaps the size of a bathtub. Oh, all right. That's not what I was expecting. But
well, I guess that could have made sense, especially when like the feet, the claws of the tub were like taken and hidden and all that. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But anyways,
Feyre's dumbass puts the 2 halves of the books together. I don't think that that's what did it, though. I think it was too late at that point. Like, it was too easy. They knew that they were coming.
Right. Well, that too, but also...
But I think she could have nullified the fucking cauldron if she had not put the book together.
Agreed. I think part of the main problem is too, she also, it's the maker, the cauldron's the creator of life itself, but like, why does it not feel like life? It's like, is that a plot hole? Or, because she said that darkness and whatever the darkness had come from was absent in presence in the cauldron's wake, but not life, not joy or light or hope. So it's like, okay, so it's like the Black Cauldron
Right?
from Disney. That one, yeah. That's all I can think of. And I was like, but wait, it's like the creator of life itself. I think possibly one of the reasons why she couldn't do it was, I think I know she's supposed to touch it, but I think once she touched it, the fact that she was made as the cauldron made everything, I think it like started combining together and like it was taken over Feyre. I think
Kind of like how Voldemort couldn't kill Harry because they both had a piece of his soul, like, so like, they couldn't kill each other.
Yeah, so I think it's not that she wasn't trying. I know she thinks she failed, but I feel like
there's a lot more at play here. They kind of went in half-cocked. Like,
it's kind of like Reese's power of like getting into the mind and making them do things that they don't remember. That's what I'm thinking of. So it's like, okay, maybe you should have thought a little bit more about that. Maybe practice a little more.
Yeah. And then the only other thing I wrote for this chapter was, damn it, I knew it was too easy. Fucking Jurian.
Oh yeah. So we finally meet him, not just the eye and finger.
Yes.
Oh, I also wrote on 586. So they talk about, I don't know. They're talking about like what's inside of it, and I was like, inky and swirling black. It was like, what, tar?
Right.
What is it? Sludge, perhaps? Well, just like, oh, I can't say that. It's in the next few chapters. Also, this really pissed me off. I really just wanted to like fucking choke her. This made me so mad. So Amryn deciphered the book. Deciphered everything. And she sits there and goes, Amryn had been wrong. Separate. Their power was cleaved, not enough to take on the abyss of the cauldron's might. But together, yes, together the spell would work when I spoke it. Whole. I would become a conduit between them, but rather I would become not a conduit between them, but rather a master. There was no moving the cauldron. It had to be now. So she puts the fucking book together, and it's like,
that was literally the one fucking thing that I told you not to do.
Amryn was wrong. Excuse me, but you have some audacity to assume Amryn, of all people, is wrong. Reese, perhaps. Amryn, do not.
Right.
She is the wisest of y'all. Like,
right. You just learned how to read like 2 weeks ago, Farrah.
Like, how dare you?
Like, I don't.
Well, and that's what just really makes me mad. Also, I think Amryn was also made like that. She could have done it.
Yeah.
Favorite could have gone. Reese could still sit outside. But Amryn could have done it. You hear like this weird like, like
anyway.
But yes, so that's my take on it.
All right.
Pisses me off.
I agree.
All right. Anyways, that's it for this episode.
Yep.
We'll see you next time.
Woo woo.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, we should do that.